Well, we're going to be born to run down to Target Center tonight because the boss kicking off his Land of Hopes and Dreams tour tonight in Minneapolis. Some 20 or so concert dates beginning here, following Bruce playing, of course, the No Kings rally on Saturday at the state capitol, an earlier surprise appearance at a benefit concert at First Avenue for families affected by ice. So we got to bring in somebody who loves Bruce. Bruce superfan Dana Wessel is here. Wow, look at that! Look at this. You're dressed for the occasion already. That is impressive. Now that's
some 1984 Bruce with the cutoff and the big curly hair and the bandana. That's my favorite Bruce look. He said he's embarrassed by it, but I still think it's his best look, so I like to try to replicate it when I can.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little bit of a throwback here when Bruce had a little bit more hair, but I mean, give the guy a break. He's in his 70s now and still looking fantastic. You know, we talk about super fans for the boss, and I know a few personally myself. There's a lot of them out there, and let's begin with that. I mean, over the years, and you see these people that go to concert after concert after concert and just follow him around and go to, I've been to shows here and went to Barcelona and went to, you know, first of all, how many concerts have you been? Where all have you gone? And what is it about the Bruce that creates this community of people that behave like you do?
Tonight will be number 26 for me, which may sound like a lot, but like you said, a lot of people older than me who got to see him in the 70s, they're in like the hundreds, 200. So 26 is still a lot for a 40-year-old kid, and I'm proud of that. But I think, the places I've seen him, Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Boston, Kansas City, and Denver, I think is the total.
Wow. I watched a documentary recently about one of his more recent tours, too, showing, you know, what goes into it, but also, again, showing the people from around the world who've met each other at his concerts, who then become friends. And, you know, again, what is this? What is it about this particular man's catalog of music and his live performances that does this to people?
I think it's the live performances for sure. Us Bruce fans, we have a little saying that says there's two types of people who love Bruce Springsteen and people who have never seen him live. Because the amount of text messages I've gotten from friends over the years who might just be a casual fan, but they find their way into a show, they text me and they're like, dude, I get it now. I get it. It's just the passion he puts in. He never takes a night off. He always brings it. Jon Stewart had a quote once that I always reference back to when he was inducting Bruce into the Kennedy Center. He said, every time I see this man do anything, he empties the tank every single time. And he does that for the fans. And we notice there's no nights off. No, you can tell Bruce is going through the motions. He's talked a lot about how every time he does a show, there's probably somebody out there that's never seen him before. And he wants the lasting memory of him to be still going full roar, nonstop, 3 hours, covered in sweat, leaving it all out there on the stage.
I've seen him live. I can attest to that. I think I've only seen him live twice. Maybe it was 3 times. And it's like he's still going. He's still going and still going. And
the craziest thing is he's 36 years older than me. And after a show, I'm just completely drained from standing, from singing, and I'm just completely wiped out. And then he goes up and does it the next night. Yeah. I need a day of recovery just from singing and, you know, dancing in the pit and having so much fun. Then he goes on and just does it again. It's unbelievable. I can't believe that at 76, he's still doing it like this.
Well, let's talk about then tonight's show kicking off this tour. And now it's relatively recently, too. A lot of times you hear about bands announcing, hey, here's our upcoming tour later this year or next year. This was announced just within the last, couple of months, and very much seems tied to the sort of the political atmosphere, environment of the moment. I mean, talk about the gravity of this tour, what it means starting here and ending in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's obviously very intentional that it's starting here in Minneapolis. And the thing with Bruce is he hasn't played at Target Center since the Excel Center opened, or now Grand Casino Arena. St. Paul's kind of been his chosen spot when he comes here. So it was very much intentional to start in Minnesota, and especially start in Minneapolis and play at Target Center. And yeah, you pointed out the bookend of it ending in Washington. I think that this wasn't just like, all right, what arenas are available? Let's pick some. You know, he very much wanted it to start here. And I think a lot of the cities he picked along the way, because it's not a long tour. Bruce is known for his marathon tours. This one's only like 15, 20 shows, I believe. So
yeah, I think it was 20 is what I counted, if I remember right. Yeah.
But it's definitely his shortest tour in recent memory, without a doubt.
Yeah, because usually they are marathon. They go on and on and on. I would anticipate at the conclusion of this, he may then announce more tour dates with this. I mean, that kind of seems to be his MO.
Kind of like we joke about, once Bruce gets on the road, he doesn't want to go back home, because you're right, he's notorious for extending tours. Like, like I think the Working on the Dream tour back in like 2009 or 2008, it was like leg number 5 and 6 at one point. And I think my mom she goes, I'm going to write him a letter and demand he stops touring, so you stay home and stop spending so much money on the road.
I know, you talk about Minneapolis versus St. Paul, and very purposely in Minneapolis, streets of Minneapolis, which he performed Saturday at the Capitol. I think that was his 3rd live performance of this. Now you'll hear it with the full E Street Band arrangement. But again, you mentioned St. Paul. I mean, famously, he shot the video for Dancing in the Dark in St. Paul, there in the old St. Paul, I just escaped the name. The
Civic Center?
Pardon me?
Was it the Civic Center?
Yeah, the old St. Paul Civic Center. Thank you very much. Famously shot that music video there when he was embarking on a tour. So to be in Minneapolis is, again, a very intentional change for him. You went down to Target Center to buy tickets. I know I went online when they went on sale, and but I was working, so I went online and waited for a short amount of time, and then I had to go, and so I didn't get tickets. What was your experience here?
I went down to Target Center to get in line. I was second in line. When the lady got there, she said, "It's only me working. Honestly, I'm just being truthful with you. You'll have better luck online than with me, because sometimes these go so fast online that the second I pull the system up, all the good seats have already been gobbled up online." So I just went back to my house, and I had, I think, 3 computers, a tablet, and a phone going, all hands on deck trying to get in. And thankfully, I got in, and I got some good seats, and it's very special to me. My best friend Dylan's flew into town for the concert from Denver. We've seen a bunch of shows together over the years, so this one's going to be very special. And it's also cool too, because it's the tour opener. We don't know what to expect, exactly what this is going to look like. There's rumors about surprise guests. We already know that Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine is going to be on every night of the tour. Him and Bruce go way back. He's filled in for some guitar players in the past, but other than that, set list wise, any special guests, we don't really know what to expect, because a lot of the times when you see a show that, he's done 4 or 5 of them, you kind of get an idea for what it's going to be like. So tonight we're all just going in completely cold, and that makes it more exciting.
Well, and he was famous for always changing up the set list, unlike a lot of concerts where it's just very much the same, because there's so much else involved in programming, the lighting, and et cetera. He often changes it up. I know the last tour, I think he stuck to more of a set list. I mean, so again, you don't know what he's going to be really doing tonight, in what order, what songs, and if he sticks to that through the tour.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the last tour was the first one where he kind of had a pretty static set list, but in the past, I mean, he'd take requests from the audience, signs like that weren't even his songs. Like I was there, he played a Rolling Stone song once in Iowa on his 60th birthday. Yeah, you never know what to expect. A couple of years back, about 10 years maybe, he did back-to-back nights in St. Paul, and he comes up night 2 and goes, "How many of you were here last night?" And 70% of the people all went crazy. He goes, "All right, we're gonna have to really change things up tonight then."
All right, well, have fun tonight. I expect that you will. Are you gonna wear this the rest of the day?
I don't know. I kind of put it on. I apologize to my mom and wife. They're going to be very disappointed with me for wearing this on TV, but I couldn't resist once I saw the old wig.
They should be proud, because that looks fantastic. All right, enjoy the show tonight. Appreciate you coming on and talking about the boss, the meaning of this, and just sort of the greater community that's surrounding him and why. All right.